Uh, Good morning, students. Welcome to this revision series of paper 2 social work. We have also started a revision for paper 1 also, and parallel I'm doing the revision of paper 2 also, so that you can get the maximum benefit. Okay. So in this revision, first I'm taking the most important chapter, that is third chapter, and after that I will take the fourth chapter. Okay, third chapter is working with the third chapter is social work with individuals and groups. Okay, you know very well this topic is the most important topic in the entire syllabus of social work, whether it is MSW, Master of Social Work, or it is UGC NET exam also. Okay, so that is why first I am taking this chapter, that is social work with individuals and groups. So we are going to see some 6 to 7 lectures or videos from this unit 3. Right. So the first aspect, first area I'm covering in this unit is that is social case work. Meaning for social case work is also nothing but working with the individuals. Okay, when you work with the individuals, when you practice social work with from the point of view of individual or with an individual, we call that as social case work. Okay, right. Briefly, the areas that we are going to cover in this video are definition and core concepts of social case work, then objectives of social case work, historical development of it, the nature and scope. Then we will once again see the reflections, concluding reflections. Then what are the books we have to read? Briefly that also we will try and see. Okay. First we will see the definition and core concepts. What is the definition of social case work? You see, social case work is the method of, it is a method of direct practice in social work. It is a method of direct practice in social work that focuses on, and very important, one-to-one engagement, that focuses on one-to-one engagement with the clients. Okay, why? Whether they personal issues or personal problems, social problems, and environmental problems. Okay, this is the definition of social case work. Very important. The areas can be picked from this definition, and they may be asked in the examination. Earlier, like that, questions have been asked. So you should be careful with the definition. Okay. The second aspect is it relies on a personal helping. Okay, sorry, it relies on a, I'm sorry, professional helping relationship, not personal. This is social case work relies on professional helping relationship, where the social worker applies psychological insight and social understanding. Okay, two aspects you remember. First one is applying of psychological insight, and second one is social understanding. Why? To facilitate client growth. What is the objective here? You see, we have to interact with the client, okay, and we have to try and address their problems, personal, social, and environmental problems, and finally we have to contribute to their growth, okay, client's growth. That is the objective of social case work. Okay, what are the key components in the social case work? First one is, the foremost component is client itself. Okay, the person with whom the social worker is going to interact with. Okay, so client is nothing but the individual seeking assistance of social worker. Second is case worker. That person will be trained professional who guides the process. And third one is, there is a helping relationship. You see, the purposeful, trust-based, professional bond between the client and the case worker or social worker. Okay, right. See, we have to see the case work from the point of view of person in environment perspective. What is the meaning of it? We have to accept the client as he is or as she is. We should not judge them. Okay, so we have to aspect as in the manner as they are. Okay, right. You see, it emphasizes that an individual's issues cannot be isolated from their social, economic, and cultural context. Okay, this is what we are calling it as, excuse me, environment in which the client is. Okay, so we cannot actually separate the person from the environment, this type of environment, social, economic, and cultural environment the client is there. Okay, that is very, very important person in environment perspective to address or to actually make the social casework a successful action or successful thing. First and foremost, the caseworker or social worker should be willing in this. What is that way? Person in environment, that they have to accept the client as he is or as she is along with the environment where they are staying. Okay. Then purpose, briefly we will understand the purpose, the word we have seen recently or just before. You see it is, what is the purpose of the social casework? You see it is to empower clients to solve their own problems. Remember, the caseworker or social worker is not there to on their own, I mean, the social worker is not there to solve the problems of the client. The social worker assists the client to solve their own problems. How we will social worker do that? By empowering the client, okay, by supporting the client, by assisting the client, okay, by all these things. We will give, so as a social worker, we will give the capacity and power. We empower them to solve their own problems, okay. The second purpose of the social casework is to enhance adaptive capabilities and social functioning. This is the second objective. Okay, to enhance adaptive capacities means to adapt to if any adverse conditions are there for the client. Okay, then social functioning, so that the person becomes part of or the client becomes part of social setting and he becomes integral part of its functioning. Okay. Then third purpose is to prevent crisis situations through early interventions. You see, many of the clients, they may fall into crisis situations, maybe because of indebtedness, maybe because of low confidence, maybe because of exclusion. They may fall into crisis situations, maybe because of exploitation also. They may fall into crisis situations. And why social casework is required? To prevent the clients from falling into crisis situations. How we are doing it? By early intervention. Okay, by intervening early before the client falls into crisis, we are protecting them or we are preventing them. Okay. Then second aspect we will see is objectives of social casework. You see widely several objectives are there, but are those objectives. Okay, you see the objectives articulate the intended outcomes of the casework method. By objectives, they say what is the intended outcomes of the social casework. Okay, in that first one is assessment and insight. Okay, so what is the meaning of or what assessment and insight means? You see it is to facilitate self-understanding of one's issues and strengths. Okay. One means here the client. Okay, so we are assisting the client to facilitating the client to understanding the surroundings, that person's surroundings and issues and strength. Okay, it is a strength, strength weakness analysis. Okay, we can say like that. Then second aspect is relationship building. You see, the social worker or case worker has to establish a trust-based helping relationship with the client, which will then enable a open dialogue between the case worker and the client. Then third objective is problem resolution. Once we have identified the problem and we built the relationship, then we have to work for the problem resolution. Okay, so for that, the case worker has to collaborate with the clients to design intervention which is suitable for them, that address the root causes of the problems or issues that the client is facing. Okay, then next one is self-determination. You see here, we should not suggest or we can suggest, but we cannot force a solution or a intervention on the client. We have to provide them the choice to that client, the social worker has to provide the choice, and it is the final decision or it is a combined decision. But on behalf of the client, the case worker shall not take the decision. Okay, so finally it is the with assistance of the case worker, the client has to decide the type of intervention. Okay, so it promotes the autonomy of the client in decision making and life choices. Okay, then then environmental adjustment, the goal is or other objective is, what is it? You see, guide clients to adapt to or reshape the social and physical environment so that they can start living a better life. Okay, earlier their life was in some way and environment is some way, and through the intervention we are assisting the client to either to change his or her lifestyle or physical environment so that they can start living a better life. Okay, they can come out of their issues they are facing. Okay, that is the meaning of environmental adjustment. Then crisis prevention, you see, identify early signs of distress in the clients and intervene to avoid escalation. Okay, that is another objective of social casework. Okay, you see, you can remember a mnemonic, that is insight. To remember the objectives: insight, relationship. Then insight is assessment. Okay, and insight, relationship, establishing a relationship with the client. Then planning the solution. Then supporting in implementation of this intervention, empowering the client, then control over environment so that client can be prevented or client can start living a better life. And finally, you can add on another thing also, preventing crisis. Okay, prevention of falling crisis. Okay, right. Historical development of social case work, you will see. You see. 1930s and 1950s, we can trace the development of social work to this period. You see, in this period, the professionalization of social work has started. Okay, right. Then, sorry, we will come from here, late 20th century. Okay, this is the first period, late 20th, late 19th century. 19th century means somewhere around 1970s to 1870s to 1890s. Okay, until maybe we can say 1890. Okay, right. At the time, the model followed was charity model. You know very well. We have all studied social law. So the model followed was charity model. Okay, right. You see, here alms houses were present, then friendly visitors offering unstructured moral support to the clients who were facing problem. At that time they were not called as clients, so there were alms houses where people who are facing problem, maybe in economic distress, they can come and collect the alms. People who have this would say kind heart, they were giving the alms. Okay, and the friendly visitors were offering unstructured moral support to the people who were there in problems. Okay, so predominantly that was the charity model in late 19th century. Okay, then early 20th century means 1900 onwards. Okay, right. So this has kind of started in this period. The concept of scientific philosophy, or sorry, philanthropy has started. Okay, scientific philanthropy has started means that is nothing but donating, but with a scientific approach. Philanthropy is nothing but donation, but with a scientific approach. Okay, you see, Mary Richmond's social diagnosis that was written in 1917. It systematized the case records and diagnosis of various people who are suffering some physical diseases, mental diseases, etc., etc. Okay, and we can record this with social casework record keeping. Okay, there is a fundamental principle, that is record keeping. Okay, and we can say record keeping has started from this point of view, from this point onwards. Okay. Then in 1930s to 1950s, you see here professionalization, further professionalization of social casework has happened. How this has happened? You see establishment of social work schools. Okay. Then integration of uh, psychoanalytic theories have also started. We have started combining the psychoanalytic theories like Freud, Sigmund Freud's theory, etc., with the or to the social work or social care. Okay. Then in 1950s to 1970s, from the point of view of India, you see what happened in India. Post-independence expansion of university program. First social work school in India. Of course, that happened before independence also in Bombay. But we have taken it forward. We have further enhanced the university programs. Then that along with that, the social work discipline also progressed, and emphasis was on community development also. Okay. Then 1980s, what happened? You see integrative and strengths based approach we have taken. You see holistic approaches have started since 1980 onwards. Then ecological models also have developed. Then evidence-based practice has also emerged. Okay? So this is how we can trace the development of social casework in our country. Okay. So in this development, key figures and the movements that we can see. Maybe Richmond of 1970, this person pioneered. Okay. She pioneered the case record and diagnostic approach, marking a shift from unstructured charity to systematic intervention. This we have studied in evolution also, right? Then strength-based movement, from when it has started from 1980s onwards, especially in India. This focus from this onwards, focus turned to clients' resources, resilience, and potential rather than deficits alone. Okay, so we have given started giving emphasis on potentials also, potentials of the clients apart from their deficits or weakness. Okay. Right. Then we will see briefly the nature and the scope of social casework. Okay. Right. You see the nature of the social casework accompanies these fundamental characteristics. What are those? It is person-centered, we know very well. Means it places the individual's unique needs and preferences at the forefront of the intervention. This is very, very important. Then it is also holistic. It is not a silo, not fragmented. It is a holistic approach. What is the meaning of it? Or what is the meaning of it? It considers psychological, social, economic, and cultural dimensions of our time. Cultural dimensions of the client in tandem. Okay, we will not separating them, and we are not only focusing on the specific segment. We are seeing this complete environment of the client, his or her psychological environment, social, economic, and cultural environment. In that holistic situation, we are understanding the problem or issues faced by the client, and we are also trying to prepare or design a holistic intervention. Okay. Then it is a dynamic process, not a static process. Means it is not a single time or one time thing. It is a continuous process until the problem or issue of the client is solved. Okay, until the termination happens. Okay, until the termination happens, it is a dynamic and continuous process. You see, it involves continuous assessment, planning, intervention, evaluation, and follow-up. Okay, that is how it is a dynamic process. Then there are multidisciplinary linkages. Social casework or social work for that matter is not a watertight separate disciplinary. It has relations or links with several other disciplines. Okay, so it draws on psychology, sociology, medicine, education, and law. Okay, so it is a multi-dimensional approach. Social casework is has links with several other disciplines. Okay, this is the nature, and now we will see the scope of social work. Okay, right. What is the meaning of scope? It delineates the application areas of the casework. So you know very well, first area is medical, very important is there for social work. In the environment, hospital, psychiatric units, etc. The scope is there in the medicine. Then in the family welfare, child protection, okay, elderly care, then prevention of the child labor, okay, early marriages, all these things we can cover under the social work or social case work in the stream of family welfare. The correctional, in the area of correctional so prisons, we can deal with the people involved in crimes. Okay, then juvenile homes. Okay, these are correctional centers or homes. Here also the lot of importance of significance of social work and social case work is there. In schools also we can do that, where its utility is there in special education. Special education is for the children who are definitely able both physically and mentally. Okay, there is counseling centers also, its requirement is there. Then community-based environment, NGOs, rehabilitation centers, the social issues can be practiced and implemented. Right. Then finally, the techniques and the tools that will be used in social casework are, first one is interviewing. Okay, first technique and the tool. What is interview? It is a structured, semi-structured. It is a structured or semi-structured conversation with the client. Okay, giving importance to his her privacy, choice, etc. This is a very important tool. Interview. Okay, interviewing the client. Okay. Then second one is home visits. Okay, this is also one important technique and tool in doing or practicing social case. What is the result of it, or what is called a home visit? You see, it is required or it is used for gaining insight into the client environment. That is why we do the home visits. Okay. Then observation is also one of the important tools and the techniques of social casework. Right, it involves understanding the behavior in natural settings. That is the meaning of observation. Okay. Then finally, another technique is recording. What is it? It is narrative process, process and evaluative case notes. Okay, you are keeping entire information in a record. Okay, of the client, information of the client you are keeping in a record, that is called as record. Okay, these are important tools and techniques in practicing social casework. Okay, then there are ethical aspects that have to follow in your practicing social casework. What are those? First one is confidentiality. Confidentiality means you can equate this term with the secrecy also, privacy also. So what is it? It is safeguarding the client's information. You are not revealing the information to the third people or his or her adversaries, people who need not know that information. In this way, you are maintaining the confidentiality about the issues, challenges, and other sensitive information about the client. Okay. Then the second ethical consideration is non-judgmental attitude. Means what? As a professional social case worker or a professional social worker, you should not judge the client. You should not judge the client knowing wrong, he is right. Like, okay, you have to accept the client as he is or as she is. There is no judgment. Okay, that is non-judgmental attitude. Okay, so it is respecting client's autonomy and the diversity and accepting as they are. Okay, then there are professional boundaries for the social casework also, meaning what? Maintaining appropriate roles and limits. You shall not be stepping out of your boundary or rule. Okay, excessive intervention or trying to know more and more personal issues. Okay, maybe there is a separate code of ethics or conduct for social care workers also. Okay, so there are certain limits. Okay, and that you should be respecting the professional social boundary, professional and boundaries, other boundaries that are there between the client and the case worker. Okay, these are the ethical considerations that a social worker has to keep in mind. So these are the aspects initial aspects you have to know in social case. In the next session, we will come out with some other aspects in the social case. Okay. Right. See you next time. Until then, have a good day.